What a pleasure to be here with you, Nick, today. I read some about you and your story, but of
Yeah,
course, want the listeners to hear it from you. So take it from wherever feels good to you to share with us.
we'll do. Okay, thanks, Lida. Yes, about a year ago, a little more than a year ago, my wife and I went to this psychic fair in Carlsbad, California, where we live, and we see a young lady. Her name is Adelita, and she's a psychic medium. I've never been to a meeting before, and I see her and I go, "Hey, Jill, what do you think of her? Do you think she'll be good for today?" And she goes, "That sounds great. Why don't you go first?" So I sit down with Adelita, and she starts by drawing this heart, and she says it's either a former romantic relationship or it's an animal, and then she circles the heart with the animal, and she says the message is you did too much, and so now I'm thinking about the last 2 years I spent on the planet with my cat, Henry, who was 22 when he passed, going back and forth to the vet, terribly emotional, just hitting with it like a ton of bricks, and changing the food, doing the blood work, whatever you can to treat the symptoms of a cat who's 20 years old, right? And you're really treating the symptoms of yourself not wanting to let go of the cat. That's really what, in hindsight, and with the messaging, you're like, everything is terribly clear. And so I'm realizing that I'm having a conversation with my cat who's been passed for probably just as long, about 20 years. And she continues and she says, they're now showing me Dr. Doolittle. They're showing me that you can talk to animals and it's going to be easy for you. And I thought, I've never heard anything more truthful in my life. I couldn't tell you why. Like it sounds so off the wall, but this is super true for me. And so I go home and I've been doing meditation for a few years. And so I do meditation and I think, okay, she said it's going to be easy. So let me do my thing and I'll try to tune into my living cat, Chucky. And so I sit down in my usual spot, do my meditation and try to find Chucky. And what I see is this bright light, the type you would associate with like spirit animals or like spirit guides or angels or something like that. And I think there's absolutely no way this is my cat, right? Like he poops in a box. Sometimes he poops on the floor. He's not a higher level being. That's just not how this works. So I call her up and I say, this isn't working. And it's certainly not as easy as you said it was going to be. Her response is, well, you're expecting things to show up in very specific ways. This is not how this works. Just be the channel. Let the information come through. What you get is what you get. Okay. So I decided to give it a second shot. And I buy animal communication books. That's what this whole thing is called, is animal communication. There's a ton of books out there. I had no idea. My library looks totally different now. I buy all these books and I set up a couple sessions with animal communicators, people who actually do what she said I'll be able to do. I want to see what it actually looks like, right? And as I'm about to step up to go to from my dining room table to go to this computer to have a Zoom conversation with an animal communicator, I get this flash. And what I see is a scene out of Return of the Jedi. I see the ghost of Obi-Wan and the ghost of Yoda. And I know immediately this is coming from Chucky, absolutely, 100%. And he's showing me a student-teacher relationship, except the human in this case, me, I'm the student, I'm not the teacher. And that was very clear. And now I'm thinking about that white light that showed up. And I'm going, yeah, that was definitely Chucky coming through. So I sit down with this animal communicator and she says, we are validating, we're here to talk about Chucky. Uh-huh. Do you know who he is to you? Yeah. Yeah. He just showed me. And that was the start of our conversation.
How interesting.
Yeah. Super cool.
And tell me, so in these communications, what is conveyed to you? I'm very curious. What you're describing is being in tune with your intuition, with that source, with how,
Right.
whatever you want to call it. But animals are connected to source they just are. And we have all these masks,
Totally.
representation. And that's our journey. That's our human journey. The other beings on this planet, including plants, they are connected to the source without any blockages. It just is. And for a human to clear themselves from those blockages so that they are in connection so readily is not common, but we can get there. And that's what's really cool about this, that then you're like, no, yeah, this is my truth.
Yeah.
Tapping
Yeah.
into it. So cool.
Yeah. It's super cool. Yeah. So 100%. We all have access to some version of this for ourselves. Animals just happen to show up for me, right? And ever since I took the blockages out of the way that I put there, right? It has to show up like this. It has to look and present like this, or else it doesn't count. Well, you count out a lot of things when you do that, right? And that's what I was doing. But ever since getting rid of those blockages and telling people, I had a weird thing showing up for 30 years that I didn't want to talk about, because who do you talk about this weird thing, right? There's no one really to talk about at the time. And now I'm the guy that people come to and go, so this thing happened. Yeah, tell me about it. Well, you know that I flip furniture. Yeah, I know. This is a client. and she flips furniture. She gets furniture out of like the dumpsters or whatever it is, and she sands it down, varnishes it, and sells it. She goes, "You know what I'm doing?" "Yeah, yeah, yeah." "But why are we talking today?" "Well, I was looking for a sign." "Okay, tell me about it." And I went onto your Instagram and I saw you talking in Santa Barbara about talking with animals. And I thought, you're the person I need to talk to about this. Tell me all about it. Well, not only am I just doing the furniture, but the way that I find the pieces of furniture now is I hear a voice. I hear a voice that says, "Go down this alleyway and you're going to find furniture." In so many words, that's what happens. And she says, every time I hear that voice, I go down an alleyway, I find furniture. And then I put my hand on the furniture and I start to glean the stories of it. Like she can get the energy out of the furniture. Like it's everywhere, right? It's just a matter of
Everywhere.
how does it show up for you, right? And so for her, here's my personal theory is like for her, it showed up with furniture because she has a huge appreciation for the furniture. For me, it showed up with animals because of the same reason. I have an appreciation for animals and I have for a long time. So that's how it shows up.
Mm-hmm. And there's love there. There's passion for it. It's
Mhm.
heart to
Totally.
soul. It's like you're leading with the heart and everything else just comes from that. And it's all the noise kind of goes away and you're able to hear the signal.
Yeah.
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 It's so cool, and it's so true when you talk about the furniture thing. For years now, I'm very particular about what comes into my house and the art that I put up or whatever it is that's in my house. And in fact, there are definite moments where I bring something and I sit with it and I bring my own energy into it, and nature energy to
Yeah.
cleanse before I bring it into the
Yeah.
house
Yeah. Yeah.
because those vibrations do.
They
Uh,
travel. They come with you. I mean, there's so many, if I could react to that, that shows up in many forms or has been for me. So like there's a spot that I go hiking with a buddy. And if it's early in the morning, it's quiet, it's clear, it feels good to be in. If it's later in the afternoon, after people have gone through it, it's a little muddier. It's just different. It doesn't have like a crisp feel to it anymore. And I'm not talking about the air. I'm talking, there's a different quality that shows up. It's just crisp and the trees move in a certain way when you're out there, right? Where not everyone's going to see that moving. And they move even less though in the afternoon because of the shift in energy out there. I learned it was probably a couple of years ago. There's a street fair happening here in town, and I learned that picking something up um, can have an impact on me. And this is when things were really just starting to open up for me, and I didn't really quite understand what was happening. There was this gentleman walking around. We'll call him very religious and very angry all at the same time. I don't have a problem with religion. I do have a problem with angry, however it presents. And he was just angry and he was saying nasty things on a megaphone about people. And for whatever reason, I'm at this table and he's now behind us and he says something. And I thought, and he's holding out his hand. He has a business card. And I figured if I take what he's giving, he'll go faster than not because everyone is in this area is listening to him saying nasty things. There is just like passive aggressive, just nasty stuff. So I'm going to take it and he's move on. I'll do everyone a favor. And I took the card and now I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling just like sick to my stomach and just angry. And I looked at my wife and I said, I can't function. You got to take me out of here. And she did.
mm,
And she's like, what happened? I'm like, I don't even, this was the first time, like, this was the first time I'm experiencing something like this. And so I'm like, I really don't understand what happened. It took me about 20 minutes to sort of like get to a place where I can start to contemplate what happened in a rational way. Cause like it was clear that I picked this thing up. I felt this way. It was very clear what happened, but to be able to talk about that as if it actually did took about 20 minutes.
this is such an interesting topic right here. With this example and this story and experience you went through, we pick up on each other's energy fields
Yeah.
so readily. And recognition of that and tapping into that and understanding when it's my energy versus somebody else's energy that you've been in contact with this energetic field, we have it.
Yes.
And am I picking up your anxiety or is it my anxiety or is it and as a physician, we come across so many patients and they're at their worst, right? Families are at their worst. And so it's very important to recognize that there are ways to protect and also cleanse those energies
100%.
and to understand what's what. But, I'm very curious to kind of pick your brain and experience about all of this. What do you do to protect your energetic field? Because we work on it, right? We work
Yeah.
to have this space and container that is pure and beautiful and full of love, but we have to also have protection for it.
Yeah, yeah, energy management is really what it comes down to, right? And so in the beginning, we were talking about me going to Carlsbad and saw the psychic, and she said, you'll be able to talk to animals and it's going to be quote unquote easy, right? And the easy part of it for me is attributed to the meditation that I was learning since 2017. So in 2017, and this was the weird thing that I mentioned, like this thing that showed up for me for 25 years or so, was living snippets of my dreams in real life. So they're called clairvoyant dreams, as far as I know. And so it's like seeing a random dog on a random corner, a random city in your dreams, and then a day, week, month, year later, whatever it is, you actually drive by that dog in this random city you've never been in, by that building, and you're like, that's strange. Like I've seen this before. I've actually been here doing this thing. And it's not lucid dreaming. It is not deja vu. It is there was a dream that you had, you traveled in time, something happened. I really don't know how to explain it, but that is the experience, right? So that was happening for quite a long time. And in 2017, I thought, I'm going to go figure out what this thing is. And I really didn't figure out what this one thing was. It wasn't, okay, we'll wrap it up in a bow and now store it away. It was the opening to all the things we're talking about, is what it was. And the way that I started to explore that was one with San Pedro, which is a psychedelic, a cactus, which has been wonderful and very, very helpful. However, I could have done this without San Pedro, but I could not have done this without the meditation that I learned with the gentleman who I sought out, who said, I think something is tapping you on the shoulder, when I explained the dream thing to him. His name is David Waldis. I've been working with him for quite a while. We're friends, colleagues. But we started out as a coaching relationship, and he ran me through this meditation, the system that he has, and it's all about what you just talked about, Lida. It's all about controlling your own energy, making sure you're not feeling the world coming at you, and then interpreting that as your feelings. No, that's just the world out there. So how do you separate yourself, and how do you recognize this is you and this is them, and how do you clean yourself, right? So the aligned living system is that system to get in tune with your own energy channel and recognize the difference between you and other, and stay in there and cleanse it and operate from that position, as well as stabilize your energy in that position. There's a lot of meditations you can do, and I do more than one in addition to the aligned living. But the aligned living for me has really helped stabilize what that all means and feels, so you can have a point of differentiation. So when you walk into a room, right? You just don't go, oh my God, I feel this. Well, what do you mean when you feel this? Like, are you reading the room, or do you suddenly feel angry inside, or whatever, unsure, angry, like having feelings, and now those are your feelings. So now you're feeling anxious. Well, maybe it's the room feeling anxious and you just happen to walk into an anxious room, right? So to understand the difference is extremely powerful for people, because they don't know the difference. How you live every time you go around and you always bump your foot. You expect to bump your foot. This is how you feel. You always bump your foot. You're going to go home bloody toes all the time. The world is rough. I'm always bleeding out of my toe, right? Or whatever it is, right? Because that's your experience. Well, it doesn't have to be that way. Like, you just have to operate in a little bit of a different way, and then you can walk around without having bloody toes. I don't know why that example just came up, but it did.
It's one that it's easy to remember too. You're like, oh, I don't have to, right?
You don't have to feel that way. It's
Yeah.
it's it's been a game changer. Yeah.
So aligned living
Yeah.
is thank you so much. I also hold space as a facilitator in small dose and large dose ceremonies.
Oh,
And
nice.
so, yeah. And so in that space, I've definitely learned what to do over the years internally, but I'm always looking for ways to evolve my practice because it's part of self care, right? And it used to be that I would have many days after holding space for a macro dose journey
Hmm.
to be able to like equilibrate myself again, because people are really moving through a lot of heaviness and burdens and trauma during their ceremony, and there's a lot of energy release in whatever way, and I'm holding that container, which I'm privileged to do. I really do see it as a privilege to do this work. It used to take me a lot longer to get into this space of my centeredness again. And over the years, it's gotten much easier. But then again, you have practitioners of all sorts. It doesn't have to do with medicine at all. We're all healers. At the heart of it, we're all healers, and we pick up on things, and we're all sensitive in different ways. To have different tools to help us manage that energy is
For
really
sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So for folks interested in the aligned living, you can go to davidwaldis.com and you can find meditations and training there.
Thank you. And let me tell you how happy I am when you say it's not really the San Pedro, though it's good. It was the meditation. That's
100%. Yeah.
it's the work. It's the work we do.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, here's how I think about it. There's a couple ways I think about it. One is, are you married by chance?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like when you get married, congratulations. You just signed up for a lot of work, right? But I thought this was the work. I thought getting to this point to the ceremony was and saying yes was the work. No, no. You just opened up a whole new world for you and your mate, and like now the work really begins. And isn't that beautiful? Like you're gonna get to know yourself and your mate and together in ways you never thought possible. And it's gonna be great and it's gonna be hard. And that's where it is. That's the fun of it, right? That's the after the medicine. And if you think you checked the box, aka have taken the medicine, aka you said yes, good luck with that. Right? You're going to do the medicine again, or you're going to get married again, and you're going to wonder what happened again. There's no forward motion, nothing. You need to take that and integrate it. This whole integration conversation is very confusing for me. I really don't understand what the world means by integration, quite honestly. Mine was do the meditation, take the action out of what you see, and where does it fit into your daily life or once a week, or where's that moment where it shows up in relevancy? I don't know. You got to figure it out. You got to be open to it, aware of it. But the medicine opens the door, but you got to keep on moving through it.
You gotta keep moving and you gotta keep taking tiny actions in what it's showing you, and if you stay in that space,
Yeah.
right? And you're not taking action on earth in your daily life, we're missing the point.
Then all you're doing is playing in it. Then all you did was swap out weekly alcohol, daily alcohol for once a month, once a week medicine journey or whatever it is. But it's
Thank
the
you.
same mentality applied to quote unquote plant medicine. And in that case, I would consider it a drug because it's taking you out of reality, right? It's a distraction. It's not medicine in that case. You're not using it as medicine. You're using it as a recreational drug. And that's a different conversation, but that's different than what we're talking about, right?
Yes, 100%. And so, Nick, I'm very curious to know how your own life changed. How was it pre knowing your intuitive abilities and then how it evolved? And of course, it's never an overnight thing. Certain things may
Yeah.
be overnight, certain switches maybe, but it's always an evolution. It's always a journey.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, so I would say starting young, I had an interest in the topic. My first experience with a psychic was like age 17. I remember getting my license, and that was one of the first things I wanted to do. I wanted to go see a psychic gym because my mother was going to him and I wanted to have that experience. And that was super cool. And my father introduced me to Edgar Casey, if you're familiar with who he is. Yeah, he's a sleeping prophet. He's no longer with us, but he's a sleeping prophet. And a lot of his readings were about the health of an individual. So he's been super influential in terms of forming the conversations that we're having today around the topics. So those things were at play, but they weren't part of my daily. They just weren't. And then the dreams would show up. And they were just weird. Like, who do you talk to about that? There was no one really to talk to. It wasn't like we're talking today. There wasn't a crystal store on every corner where you can have that instruction and someone go, oh, cool, you should talk to someone. That just wasn't available, right? It just wasn't a thing. So for a long time, it just sort of got put to the side and just wasn't explored until 2017, and things started to open up and things just started to change little by little for me. With the plant medicine were sort of milestones because you get a lot in a short amount of time, right? And then you sort of have to figure it out. And then meditation started, and then now I'm feeling things that you feel in plant medicine ceremonies, but you're not on plant medicine anymore, right? So now things are even stranger, but now I have a little group of folks I can talk to about it. And isn't this weird? No, it's not weird. This is how it works. But for about 9 months, it was very strange for me. And I'm like, am I losing my shit or what? Like, what's going on here? Like, because this very different reality is over here and three different realities over here. Then at some point, I sat myself down and said, you have to choose. Either it's happening or it's not happening. But you have to choose. Like either say it's not happening and keep on going, or it is happening and keep on exploring. Choose. It doesn't matter, but you have to choose. It can't be in between worlds. It doesn't work. So I chose, and I kept doing the medicine, and I kept doing the meditation, and then you start to say very strange things, right? You start to say, "I talk to animals." You start to say these things that you used to hear other people say, and you're like, "How can that possibly be real?" Well, a lot of things start to become very real once you have experiences. Then you go, well, this is my experience. And I need to trust this person because there's a lot of nonsense out there in every respect. But if I trust this person and they're saying something that I don't believe, is it that I find them untrustworthy, or is that just my belief system that's showing up? Right. And that's a difference for me, because your experience is your experience. And if I trust you, I can't pick and choose what I trust and what I don't trust. That's my perspective. Like, I either trust a human being, and then what I believe you're saying is true because that's your experience, regardless if I have any foundation for believing that. It doesn't matter. What matters is I know my experience now, and that's your experience. And while we're all doing the same thing, it shows up in very different ways, very different ways. I'm never probably going to talk to furniture. It's probably not going to happen. It's not my thing. But I totally believe this young lady talks to furniture. I believe she has a relationship with furniture that is very unique for herself.
Yeah, 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 yeah. For sure, she feels the vibrations and respect that for what it is, instead of us having this weird judgment about things. There's so much we don't know, and it's so wonderful not to, have to have it in a scientific way. And that's a beautiful thing too. The science of it is beautiful too, looking at our energy fields, where we can measure the frequencies of every molecule.
Totally.
It's wonderful. That's also wonderful, but not to use it as dismissal. That's wonderful. So then what do you do with this now? Now that you are in this space and it's wonderful. What do you do with it?
Yeah, yeah. So for about the first 6 months, things were showing up for me. We'll say the first 6 months after being told I'm going to talk to animals, things were showing up for me. Right, Chucky, my cat, showed up. We were in Mexico, and a dolphin showed up. I had a quick conversation with a dolphin. I got the information verified. So it was just like showing up in verification for me, and like a random interaction with the dog at Home Depot. I just saw the dog in line. I smiled at the dog, and all of a sudden I get this wave of energy. And I'm like, oh, this is how it works. Like, so that appreciation part shows up. Oh, okay. So that's an aspect of this. Got it. Okay. And then in the beginning of the year, I was thinking, can I do this by myself? Can I do this for other people? And communicate with their animals and then bring that communication to them? Is that possible? And can I do it consistently? And how many of those a day can I do? I have no idea, no clue. And so I went on to Nextdoor. It's a little app. It's sort of like Facebook, but it's similar conversations, except it's people you don't know who live in your area versus friends, right? So I went on there and I posted and said, "Hi, I'm an animal communicator. That means I psychically talk to animals. Free 15 minutes. Sign up here. Let's see what happens." And then I thought, what did I do? Right? I'm looking at my submission going, what did I do? What did I say? Can I do this? Like all these things start to show up. And then I'm using Google Docs to track this so you can see when it gets populated in the browser, right? And so I'm staring at this spreadsheet. Within moments, a woman populates the first row, and I feel her come through, and I think, I'll be able to do this. No doubt. It'll be fine. And then I get on the line with her. And well, first I get on the line with the animal like on a Thursday, and then on Friday, the following day, I talk to her. So my process is typically someone fills out the form, they send in pictures. I communicate with the animal a day before, and then I get on the line with the human the day after, invite the animal in. Sometimes they show up, sometimes they don't, but it's a two-step process. First the animals, then the human. And I get on the line with the human, have a conversation, 15, 20 minutes, whatever it may be. And at the end of the conversation, she says, "So the reason I wanted to talk to you is because my prior animal communicator passed, and me and my friends are looking for a new one. Would you be okay if I referred people to you?" So right out of the gate, I got someone saying that this worked for them. So fantastic. So I've been doing that for the past 5, 6 months now, give or take. And so that's how I work with animals. And you asked a question like, so what do they say? Like, what happens? What do they do? Well, people sort of come to me because they're observing something in the 3D world about their pet. Right? So like
Mm.
my animal, here's an example. My animal's biting people. I don't understand. Can you tell him to stop? Well, maybe I can certainly ask, and I can certainly see what's going on. So let's do that. Right. So I tune into the animal. It's a little chihuahua, spicy chihuahua. Yeah, right, right. As you would expect them to be, that's how they present from my experience. So I find the chihuahua, and the chihuahua says, "Ask her about her job." And I said, "Why am I asking her about her job?" "Because that's what has to change." Okay, all right,
I got chills. Stop it right now.
right. And she was like, "Tell my dog to stop biting." And so we get on the line, and she's like, "Did you have a chance to talk to my dog?" "I did." And did you tell him to stop biting?" I didn't. I didn't, because here's what happened. Your dog wanted me to ask you about your job. What do you do?" "Well, I'm unemployed, but I'm a private driver." "Well, what does that mean?" "Uber, limousines." "Okay. How's that working out?" "Well, I have spinal issues, and my doctor says I shouldn't do it, because after an hour or so sitting in the car, I'm very aggravated. My back is very aggravated. Here's what your dog said." And now we have a conversation about the job, right? And here's one of the things that shows up. This is a theme. Animals show up frequently teaching with a mirror technique or a modeling technique, right? So, for example, for me, the modeling technique that my little boy has for me is every day, every night, 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock at night, he has a certain call. He's at the top of the stairs or he's at the bottom waiting for me to come and play. I have a bad relationship with the computer. I will grind. And so I need the lesson to play more. And so some people will be like, your cat likes to play a lot. Yes. Also, the lesson there for me is to play more, right? If it's not a modeling behavior, it's a mirroring behavior. So now we have a little dog biting people. We have a little dog who's angry. Well, is the dog angry or is the dog modeling the behavior? I would argue modeling the behavior in this case.
Fascinating. It's so interesting that we with neighbors, friends, people in the community,
Yeah.
dog that gets cancer. And then what is going on there in that relationship? Or what's not going on in that relationship that the dog wants or the pet,
Yes.
the animal in your life needs, and is it not being met? I don't know. I'm very curious to hear your
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they will use their body as a tool, right, to teach the lesson, right? So if you had, for example, and this is someone that I talked to, their little dog became paralyzed and couldn't walk, and I tuned into the dog, and I saw the dog doing a couple of things, one of which was just like running around in circles, and it was about the relationship. And I was like, so here's what the dog showed me in my head, and like running around in circles, and the 3D version of that is your dog can't move forward, right? And circle is we're not going anywhere in circles either. And now your dog can't move forward. So like let's talk about what is not moving forward in your world. What's going on?
wow, that is so cool. It's so cool. So is this now what you do? Like this is your practice?
Yeah, not full time. I've office hours typically on Fridays and Tuesdays, and I mean I'm lucky to be able to have this conversation with you now during the day. It's 12:30 my time in California because I work for myself. So I run for the past 5-ish years. I've been running a little agency, little SEO agency, getting websites found in Google and building websites. And so that's been able to afford me the time and luxury of being able to step into conversations like this and set up the time to talk with dogs and the humans and it's a trip, right? So we'll see where life leads us. And for some people, like it's okay to have one foot in both worlds, and
Of
for other,
course.
and for someone else, you may have to go. I want both feet in this world. And so if both feet in that world opens up for me, 100%, yeah, because it's such a trip to talk to animals and see what they have to teach us. And the other thing, yeah, so what do you do, right? So I do that, but also because of being able to work with folks, the thing that made it easy was that aligned living system and being able to get in touch with your own channel and your own energy and monitoring and just managing. And so I work with people to do that. So I started doing that 18 loosely, didn't have a place to use it. So it sort of went dormant. I was using it in my own life. But recently I've opened that up and I've worked with people to tuning into their intuition. Because some folks are like, I want to do what you do. Well, maybe, I don't know. Like, I didn't choose this. Sort of chose me. And I did choose it because of my appreciation, I feel. But I don't think there's a guarantee for like me walking you through this process and going, and now you'll be able to do this thing. Maybe, but I don't think so. I think it's way more helpful for me to go, here are the things that helped me get to this point. Now be open to the thing that's going to show up for you. Because that's really cool, right? We all do the same thing. We also do it very differently. So be open to the thing that shows up for you. And so I work with folks around that.
That is amazing, especially in the world that we live, for the past so many decades, it's all been about being forced in a particular profession or,
My goodness.
all
Right.
this.
Yeah.
Instead, let's switch it. And, I find this, difficult for me even today. And I've done so much work on myself, constantly work on myself every single day, every moment. It's a whole thing. I never take a break from that inner work, honestly. And there's
There's
always
always more. There's always more. You're like, really? Is there more? Well,
a whole
isn't the reason
universe.
you're doing this is because of more? All right. Good point. Okay. Let's keep going. Right.
Keep going. And that's what makes it fun. There were points where like, oh, enough. And then you're like, no, it's just life. Just
That's
go with
it.
it. Enjoy it. Enjoy what's happening. But it's really interesting as we are shedding the older patterns of I was an academician always, in school. I'm from Iran, so academia was a huge thing. In fact, you got discriminated, judged if you didn't do well in academics since
Mm,
as a little kid, like 6 years old, well, you got to get all the A's. You got to, the teachers have to love you,
yeah. Yeah.
this system pleasing. And of course, that translated later on in life as a I was a prestigious physician at a prestigious, institution, all the things in academia. And to break away from all of that and say, no, like, but who am I? It's like I've been running my life in accordance to these limitations that are set by system, and I'm really good at it, right?
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
good at meeting those criteria by them. And I'm obviously checking all the boxes and much more. But when it comes to showing myself, then that's not appreciated. So breaking away from that and then having my own coaching practice and with medicines and
Yeah.
all of that has been such a journey, and it's been so challenging, but so rewarding at the same time. Similarly to what you're doing, it's just so cool to be tapped into that part of yourself and say, ooh, there's a whole world here that I can help people kind of turn to themselves and find themselves. And
Super satisfying. Really. Yeah, it is.
it's so cool. And it's so cool that you do it through people's animals. Like, that is fantastic.
Super fun.
So cool. And so when you go to the zoo, because we were at the zoo yesterday with the family, what happens there for you?
Yeah, a couple of things. So I've been to the zoo, I don't know, maybe definitely twice, maybe three times since all of this has opened up, right? And actually, let's start with the dolphin because the dolphin was sort of like the zoo, but way a little more intimate. And so we went to Mexico last July, and it was in Cabo, and we were doing all the touristy things, my wife and I. We haven't been out of the house in roughly 3 years, right? We didn't go anywhere, didn't get on a plane because of COVID. And now we're kids in candy store, a scenario, right? Like you do all the things, have fun, and we're doing all the things. And there was an opportunity to go swim with dolphins, and they're in a big pool. It's like SeaWorld. And I have a mixed feeling about. I never liked animals in cages, and this is sort of the equivalent. I had mixed feelings about that. And at the end of it, we decided to go, and there's a moment when we're having the event in the event, and almost very similar to SeaWorld. You have the tank here, and then you have this little lip, and the dolphins can come on top of it, like it's like 2 inches of water, and then they'll slither back into the deeper water, right? And so they're on this little lip, and there's a trainer at the head of the dolphin, and then there's three people on the left, three people on the right. And I was at the right hand side towards the tail. And I thought, well, let me see if Liz is available to chat. Let me see if she wants to chat. And so I go find Liz, and I get this overwhelming feeling of sad. And I think, of course, because you live in a tank, obviously. I mean, that's obvious to anyone, isn't it? And that's my narrative. That's not her narrative. And so part of this is not filling in your, well, of course, this is happening because my baggage, right? That's not how this works, right? That's not the channel we were talking about. That is your garbage. That was my garbage that I brought into the conversation. And so I recognized what I was doing. And then I asked cleanly, well, why is that? Why do you feel sad? And what I got back was one word. It was family. And then the connection was gone. Okay. So afterwards, I said to my wife, hey, Joel, I got to go validate some information. I want to go see something. So I went to the trainers and I said, I had such a good time with Liz, the dolphin. And I'd love to just learn a little bit more about her. What's going on? Mom, dad, siblings, anything? And they said, well, dad's not here anymore. Dad's off the planet. Okay. Yeah, I don't think that's it. What about mom or siblings? Oh, no, they're here. Well, where are they? Well, mom and her sibling are in the other tank. Well, what do you mean they're in the other tank? Yeah, they're in, so we have this tank here, then right over there. You see that line? You see that? Yeah, that coping. Yeah, there's another tank over there. And so they've been in that tank. Yeah, they've been in that tank for the last 3 years, mom and sibling. Well, why is that? Well, because when Liz was 2, mom had another baby. And Liz still wanted attention from mom. And she was causing problems with the nursing with the new baby. So we took mom and the new baby and we put them in the other tank. And that was 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. And Liz was 2. Mm-hmm. And have they seen each other since? No. Well, that would explain sad and family. So that type of thing happens. Going to the zoo.
Was that resolved? Was that something that they were going to
Yeah.
consider?
I mean,
Who knows?
no,
God, humans.
yeah, right. I mean, no one's going to go, oh, thanks for the information. We're going to resolve that problem. When there's an actual problem, right? There was some type of disruption. I get it. Like, and I don't know what it looked like, but I get the reason. It's rational. I understand. And I don't have a better solution. Really, I don't. But here's the information that I got. But what did happen, right? So this was very frustrating for me. So a couple days later, I'm waking up at like 5 o'clock in the morning. The sun's coming up. It's beautiful. And I'm all by myself. It's quiet. And I was like, this sort of feels like a parlor trick to me. Like what I'm doing, what I can hear and see and feel, like it feels like a parlor trick. Like, what's the point? What's the point? Right. And so I tuned into Liz. I was like, let me see if I can find her. And I learned that it's easier once I have an initial connection, it's easier to make a second connection. It just is for whatever reason. And so I found Liz, and it was very, very low energy, and I found her and I said, I'm having these thoughts. When I said, it's all happening in my head. I said, you have a real opportunity to be the ambassador between humans and animals. And instead of being stuck in the sadness of family, which is very real, I don't want to, diminish it. It's very real, but you can be this ambassador, and that could be that there's a purpose in there for you. And as soon as I thought the word purpose, I've heard about dolphin energy before, but I never experienced it, including when I was sitting next to her, touching her. But when I said purpose, I felt what I could only describe as a reverse waterfall of energy just shooting upwards. And I thought, that's the feeling of a happy, energetic dolphin right there. So purpose, which we can all identify with, change things, at least in that moment, right? And now she's a sentient being. She gets to do and feel things as she wants to. But there was a communication which made both of us made her feel better about her circumstances and made me feel better about, you can call them my circumstances of this ability to talk to animals. But what's the point? Well, now I know what the point is. Now I know I can change things.
Powerful.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Nick, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me at nickmusica.com, or if you prefer, this will redirect there, mycatschooledme.com. That'll redirect to it. And also on Instagram, which is a building account. My Cat Schooled Me is on Instagram if you want to find me there. I think there's all but 3 posts there, but that's going to change very quickly. Yeah, yeah. Love to chat with anyone about their animals. If you're interested in developing your own intuition, if that's a thing for you, that's what I do with folks.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much for showing up and sharing your wonderful story with us. And I feel the heart. I feel how you're standing in your own light, and it's wonderful. And it's
Thank you.
helping a lot of people and animals.
Yeah,
Uh, I'm so excited for you. I'm
thank
excited
you.
that you're doing this and you've stepped in and you're like, here it is, you guys. This is just what it
This
is.
is it. This is it. Yeah.
This is awesome. So, so nice to meet you and connect with you. And thank you for reaching out and being on our show.
Same.
Yeah, maybe we'll catch you when things are in a different place, like in a few months or next year or whatever. Reach out. If there's something you want to share with us, and would love to have you back.
I'd love to be back. Thank you so much.